You already know what it is, man. We are back on the scene with some vinyl collection videos. You know what I'm saying? We're going to try to stay consistent with this, but today we got some Boldy James and Nicholas Craven. Let's get it. Let's take a look at what we got here, man. Fair Exchange No Robbery, Boldy James and Nicholas Craven. This was released by Near Mint Records. A lot of people have some complaints here and there, but I really don't. In my personal opinion, I've had a great experience with ordering from them. But the sleeve on here is just great. Made out of cardboard, pretty standard, man. Nothing too crazy. Like in the back cover, the theme basically of, the back of a food can or something like that, with the actual tracks on it. But yeah, the sleeve itself, no complaints. Then we have the inner sleeve with the vinyl here, standard paper, so nothing too crazy when it comes to that. Of course, I'm gonna end up changing it out in the future, but other than that, man, I ended up getting the actual transparent red variant of this. Came with a lot of different variants. They're still up on the site, but I chose this one because it kind of matched the theme of the outer sleeve on here, man. But other than that, man, really standard vinyl. I would say it's nothing too crazy. It's not 180 gram or anything like that, but it gets the job done. You know what I'm saying? I'm really liking this record. Fair Exchange No Robbery was released on September 30th, 2022. Definitely one of my favorite records of the year. Boldy James did release a few records that year, but this is definitely up there as one of my favorites coming from him. It actually derived from a track him and Nicholas Craven got together on called Death and Taxes. Wish it was on here, but it's not. Wish we could have got like 11 tracks, but it is what it is. I guess it's on Spotify, so no need to sit here and trip anyways, right? But anyways, we have 10 tracks on this LP with a runtime of a little over 36 minutes. Of course, Nicholas Craven on the production. He's gonna bring a lot of that heavy soul sample type stuff that's like his signature on here, especially with like the vocal sampling and loops and stuff like that. First started hearing of Nicholas Craven on a lot of the Ransom director's cut tapes. And that's what actually put him on the radar for me. And ever since then, I've always been on the lookout for anything that he drops, you know what I'm saying? So definitely elevating himself as far as one of the top tier producers on this new Renaissance hip hop stuff, along with, people like Future Wave, Camouflage Monk, so on and so forth. The cover art on here is definitely a standout for me. Just the overall theme of the album kind of being pushed away on the outskirts or being alone or whatever, but still being surrounded by the snow, you know what I'm saying? So that ends up being a heavy theme on here. Boldy James talking a lot about how he can actually push weight or do different things outside of his own environment, you know what I'm saying, even if he's out there on his own. Opening track on here, Straight and Tall, definitely a really dope instrumental from Nicholas Craven on here, man. Has a lot of melodic horns and crazy vocal loops on this one, man. The sample is by 5 Stairs and Cubies. The song's called Window of the World. And then Boldy James on here really talking about grave details and the street life, you know what I'm saying. Has great double entendres on here and talks about having to adapt to a lot of things within that street life, drug dealing, self-medication, a lot of tragedies, stuff like that. And the one line that actually sticks out to me on here is when he says, "Chrome heart hoodies, I be breaking hearts, the Heartbreak Hotel, and I'm the hit man. So my teacher, when I grow up, I'm gonna be the break man." Basically just saying what he's gonna be based off of the environment that he is raised up in, you know what I'm saying? Then we get into Stuck in Traffic, man. Has more of that up-tempo 70s funk and soul type instrumental on here. Has some really dope guitars and vocal samples used throughout. Boldy James definitely shines with a lot of imagery and the wordplay that he uses on here. This time highlighting a lot of betrayals and then talking about, how the ops and feds are pretty much after him. Highlight as far as what he was talking about on here, he said, "All that I've been through, I never testified or told. I done robbed, I done killed, I done lied, I done stole. Seen some shit that will make you lose your lunch. I couldn't hold my stomach at the crib pacing back and forth because I know they coming. So basically just saying how people in that lifestyle and the feds were pretty much after him. But overall, great track. A lot of great subject matter on here as far as storytelling, you know what I'm saying? Then we get into Scramble, which is more of a bright and cheerful beat on here with a heavy vocal sample. And then these are less drums on here, but there is a bass line in the background that you can't hear. Boldy definitely fires everything up as far as like wordplay and rhyme schemes on the track. I feel like this is where he was definitely up in his bag on the actual album and kind of brought a little bit more energy to the track. In the beginning, literally just telling you about, you know, his lifestyle as a kid in Detroit. Down that he was talking about as far as that was in the beginning of the track where he said, early morning, late for school, he was beefing more than Arby's. Tying choppers like a Harley, daydreaming of a damn Marley. Off-white, same color as a stand back. Quick to bleed niggas on the block like a Tampax. Like, instead of being in school, he's just out there living that street life that maybe he had no choice but to do at the time, you know what I'm saying? So definitely kind of gives you that perspective as far as, you know, what he was actually doing at the time as an adolescent, and pretty much saying how he is single-handedly holding down the Detroit game on his own. Definitely a really dope track on here. Loving the instrumental and the bars that he has for us on here. Then we get into track 4, Town and Country. The instrumental on here has 2 vocal samples that were used from the 5 Stair Steps and Marlena Shaw. It was laced with a lot more melodic horns, strings, and pianos on here, man. Boldy James hitting us with some of this math type talk in the beginning. As he said, code word for brick is ones. My young and middle man, me, 2 pairs, put 1 on 1. That's a frank game with 2 squares. But then he's actually like sitting there talking about being responsible for, you know, giving people around him the game of success. As he says, gave him the art of rock climbing. Now that's a cliffhanger, you know what I'm saying? Loving the chorus that he actually has on here as well. Put a brick up for adoption. This ain't no orphanage. Project full of zombies, shit looking like a horror flick. So, you know, kind of talking about the consequences of what he's actually doing. And then once again, it's kind of highlighting that, you know, he could be in town or in country when he's doing some of the things that he's actually doing. He can pretty much sell his weight or do whatever he's doing within the streets anywhere that he goes. He's that good, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of that braggadocio, violent type talk on this one. Then we get into Monterey Jack, which is the 6th track on here. He has more of a slowed down cinematic type sound with this one. Very dark horns and keys used. The keys are definitely more on the forefront on this. This song kind of highlighting how he's trying to change his lifestyle up, even despite that people are still kind of bringing him down at the same time, even though he's knee deep kind of in the drug game at this point in time on the song, you know what I'm saying? And how he feels like he has to continue because he has no exit plan on here, and the violence that ends up coming with that actual lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Then on track 7, we have a heavy soul and R&B sample from Faith, Hope, and Charities. The track is actually called Keep Me Baby. And this definitely features a really heavy saxophone that's definitely up there and highlighted on the instrumental. Boldy's opening this song up with a lot of self-reflection, as he says, big city, small China, started as a small timer, scared to dwell on my past. I have Alzheimer's. So basically saying, yo, I don't want to sit here and think about the past. I want to think about what I had to do to get to this very point, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of braggadocious talk on here as far as like how much power he has and pull, sitting there bragging how he's such a real hustler that he can sell blood to a vampire, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely some very slick bars on here, fucking with the instrumental really heavy. Just talking about how he is going towards more of that luxurious lifestyle, and that's why he has all these designer drugs and shit, you know what I'm saying? The 8th track, Sick Toes, features some heavy key work on here, man. Basically shouting out like all the criminal underworld type shit, you know what I'm saying? Definitely has more of that gruesome imagery as far as like what's going on. Just kind of gives it like that dark underworld type feel on this track. I will have to say maybe track 8 is probably one of my least favorite tracks on here, man. It's not really super engaging for me, but it doesn't really take away from the actual album itself. Then we get into You Ain't No Menace. Has a great guitar and vocal sample on this one, man. This one definitely highlighting, you know, what he was doing as a youth inside of the game, you know what I'm saying? Basically talking about trial and error, how he was coming up as a kid. He had a few hiccups or mess ups or whatever, but ended up recovering for it because he said basically that's what made him into a man. You know what I'm saying? Standout lyrics when he was saying on here, because since the tender age of 10, I've been in the dope game, touching grown man money, ran away from the crib, got the first cell charge when the vans raided the spig, damn near cut my finger off when I was shaving them yams. Now every year my semi make 488K. Basically saying how he was growing up at the time in Detroit, you know what I'm saying, at the age of 10, jumping off the porch pretty much and doing whatever he had to do at the time, you know what I'm saying. And now, since he learned from trials and tribulations, you know what I'm saying, he's reaping the benefits of the money now because he knows the game so well. And then we end off the entire project with Power Nap, man. This has a blues and soul sample from the famous Marlena Shaw once again. The song is called I Know I Love Him. The sample was used perfectly, especially the vocal sample on there when she's like, go to sleep. So it kind of highlights the subject matter that Boldy James was talking about on here. All the double entendres and references to actually going to sleep, you know what I'm saying he's gonna hit you with some sleeping pills, so on and so forth. Definitely has a lot of violent lyricism on here, but he also says how it's kind of conflicting within himself with the violence and the drug use. He also says how it's conflicting for him and he can't even sleep at the end of the day after all the stuff that's pretty much going on, you know what I'm saying. But overall, I think that this album is just really dope. Craven definitely outdid himself with the production on here, and then Boldy James really complimented the instrumentals on here as well. Six Toes is probably my only track on here that is just okay to me. It's nothing too crazy. But other than that, every track on here is pretty much a banger, you know what I'm saying. A sequel would be dope. Overall, I think this album is probably around an 8.7 out of 10. I'll probably give it. Overall, it was a great ensemble of tracks on here with Boldy James spitting his vivid imagery of the Detroit street life, you know what I'm saying. But what did you guys think about this album? Did you guys like it? Did you not? Let me know in the comment section down below. You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Tev, and I'll be back with another vinyl record review. I catch y'all, man. I'm up out of here. Peace.